In this short video, I will show you how to improve the visualization of your data by turning a plain list of data into an interactive and possibly delicious pie chart. So, in honor of National Pie Day, let's make pie with Xamarin.Forms and Xuni. We won't be making an actual pie, but rather adding a pie chart to a cross-platform mobile app developed using Xamarin.Forms. I will start with a plain Xamarin.Forms app, and through several easy steps add a pie chart to the app using Xuni, a third-party library found on NuGet. This is beginner level and ideal if you have some experience with Xamarin.Forms and no experience with Xuni. But before I serve up some code, here are some fun facts about pies. Now, you probably know what a pie chart is. I won't explain how that works. But do know that the earliest pie chart in recorded history is credited to William Playfair's Statistical Breviary of 1801. Pie charts are of course named after pies because they look similar. Varieties include donut and stacked, sometimes with callouts, labels, and legends. We use pie charts and data visualizations as a different, sometimes better interpretation of data. If you want to display pure data, then text is the most clear. But data visualizations like a pie chart offer a different perspective. Pie charts show how much of the whole a slice occupies. It's not intended for you to know that one slice is 3% larger than another, but just know that they're about the same. And this blue slice is clearly the biggest. Now let's shift to our mobile app and add a pie chart control to it. For this project, I need three main ingredients. One Xamarin.Forms app, one pie chart library, in this case I will be using the Xuni library, and some data on pies to plot in my app. So let me talk briefly on each of these ingredients. Xamarin.Forms is a cross-platform C# solution that outputs iOS, Android, and Windows apps from a single codebase. Currently, there is no pie chart control available in the Xamarin.Forms SDK, so we will need to use a third-party library to fill the gap. One way to find components is to search the Xamarin Component Store at components.xamarin.com. There you can find a range of free to premium controls. For Xamarin.Forms apps, make sure to look for components that support all three platforms. As you search the field for available pie charts, you will find a few, including the Xuni library. Xuni is a collection of controls focused on business and enterprise mobile dashboards. It includes Cartesian and pie charts, as well as gauges and a data grid control called FlexGrid. You can use the Xuni controls in any Xamarin platform app, including Xamarin iOS and Xamarin Android. You can even use the pure native controls for Objective-C and Java development. But for this sample, I'll just use the Xamarin.Forms version. You can download the Xuni Explorer demo app to your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store, and download the controls at www.gozuni.com. So, I did a little research on existing pie popularity. I found several studies done, but I went with the most recent one I could find, which was from Mrs. Smith's and Edwards Desserts. So here I will pull this data from this infographic and insert it into my app. So now let's jump into Xamarin Studio. Here I have a basic Xamarin.Forms app. A Xamarin.Forms project will typically include 4 projects. First, there is the shared or portable project. This includes all of the common code that is shared among the different versions of the app. With Xamarin.Forms, that will often be all of your code. Then we have individual projects for each platform: Android, iOS, and Windows. Each of these projects references the portable class library. But we will actually build, run, and eventually publish each of these versions of the app from the platform projects. For instance, let's run the iOS app on the iPhone simulator. The app is very simple, as it just displays my pie data in a list. Now let's see how I created this page in my app. If we look at the portable project, there's a single page view. And in the code behind, I've hard-coded the data from the infographic. In the XAML, I've defined the UI, which is a list view that uses a text cell to define the item template. This allows us to display 2 text fields. How does the app know to launch this page initially? Well, in the app file, app.cs, I'm setting the main page property to an instance of my page containing the list view. So now let's add a new page that will contain a pie chart. I will select the XAML page so that I get both a C# backend file and a XAML frontend. I will name it as My Pie Page. Next, we need to add the Xuni pie chart control packages. If you installed Xuni from Xuni.com, you will notice that the Grape City NuGet feed is automatically added to your sources. So we can browse it and add the packages to each of our projects. Since we're working with Xamarin.Forms, we want to look for the Xuni.Forms packages. The Xuni packages are separated not just by control, but also by platform. So there's also Xuni.Android and Xuni.iOS packages, which will be added automatically where necessary, so long as you select the Forms one. For each project, I'm adding the Xuni.Forms.FlexPy package. Since I'm working on a Mac, I can't work with the Windows project, so I'll leave that one alone. To declare a FlexPy in XAML, we need to add the XML namespace at the top of our XAML file. If you've worked with WPF or Windows Phone, you're probably used to this step being handled automatically when you drag the control from the toolbox onto the page. With Xamarin Studio, we need to type it all out, and I can now safely declare an instance of FlexPy in my markup. And I'll give it a name so that I can access it from code. In the code, I will first copy over the same code that I had from the list view page, and then I'll just replace the list view with my FlexPy. The list view has bindings set in XAML within the item template, so it knows which fields from the data object to display. With FlexPy, we need to do something similar. We need to basically map which fields from the data source should be plotted and which fields should be displayed in the legend. We can accomplish this in code or XAML. I will set it in XAML by setting the binding property to the value field and the binding name to the name field. So now the pie is completely configured and ready to go. But wait, there's 3 more steps we need to take care of before we can run or publish our app. The first step is licensing. Xuni libraries have runtime licensing by app, which means since this is a new app, I need to generate a new runtime key for it. On GoXuni.com, you will see under Support there is a Licensing Your App link that will take you to the page where you can generate a key. There are steps for generating an evaluation key, which is 30 days per app, or a full key which never expires. I will generate an evaluation key and enter my app name, which is MakePie, and then click Generate. Once I have the key copied, back in my project I will add a new class named license.cs. The code that the website gives you is actually the entire class. So I have my license class, which exposes a static license string. Back in my code behind, I will set the Xuni.core.licenseManager key to my license key. So that's licensing in a nutshell. We have better tutorials and documentation that go deeper into that than what I've just covered. The second thing we need to do for iOS and Windows only is to initialize the Xuni renderers. This is the one line of code that you need to put in the iOS and Windows specific projects. If you open up the app delegate file in your iOS project, you will see a line of code that initializes the Xamarin.Forms renderer. We need to do the same for Xuni. So here I've added this line of code. You need to do the same for Windows, but due to the nature of Android, it's not necessary there. The third and final step is we need to change the main page of our app to be the new FlexPy page. Simple enough. Now we are ready to run the updated app. Since I have iOS as the startup, let's look at that one first. And voila, we have Pi. With FlexPy, you get a few things for free out of the box, like loading animation and tooltips. We can change the appearance of the pie chart by setting a few properties. For instance, we need to change the positioning of the legend so it reads better. So I'll set the position and the orientation of the legend. I will also set the title of the chart. And we can customize the colors by setting the palette property to an array of colors. FlexPy and FlexChart do come with an enumeration of palettes as well if you want to browse some professionally designed schemes. One last thing I'll show you is how to explode a pie slice when the user taps it. This is a built-in feature we can enable by setting the selected item offset property to some value between 0 and 1. Now this time, let's see this run on the Android emulator by setting the Android project as the startup. For the simulator, I'm using the Xamarin Android player, which works beautifully on my Mac. And just like that, we have the exact same app for Android. As you can see, it's easy as pie. For more tutorials and content, visit www.gozuni.com and follow us on Twitter @GoZuni.